President Trump has endorsed a House budget plan that would make sweeping cuts to Medicaid. Under the proposed budget bill, roughly $880 billion would be cut from Medicaid, and $230 billion would be cut from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as food stamps.
What if one man could change how trillions of dollars are spent in the U.S. government? Imagine a future where the president, not Congress, holds the real power over federal spending. Donald Trump, if re-elected, has a bold plan to do just that. But how? And what could this mean for America? Stick around, because this could redefine the balance of power in Washington forever. For decades, Congress has controlled the federal budget, deciding where every taxpayer dollar goes. But Donald Trump, known for his disruptive policies and unconventional leadership, wants to flip the script. He believes that Congress has failed the American people with reckless spending and gridlock. Now he's proposing a radical shift in how government funds are allocated. His plan is ambitious, controversial, and, if successful, could be one of the biggest power moves in modern political history. So let's break it down. The Impoundment Act and Trump's strategy to revive it. One of Trump's key strategies to wrest control of spending from Congress is by reviving an old presidential power, impoundment. Impoundment is when the president refuses to spend money that Congress has already allocated. Before 1974, presidents regularly used this power to block or delay spending they disagreed with. However, the 1974 Budget and Impoundment Control Act took this power away from the president, forcing the executive branch to spend all appropriated funds unless Congress agreed to cancel them. Trump has hinted at challenging or bypassing this law, arguing that a president should have more discretion over wasteful spending. If successful, this would significantly shift power away from Congress. Trump's potential use of executive orders.
And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there, they're waiting for you to vote.
Trump has never shied away from using executive orders to push his policies. If Congress resists his spending cuts, he could attempt to use executive authority to redirect or freeze funds. There is precedent for this type of executive action. Presidents including Obama and Biden have used executive orders to influence funding decisions, though these moves are often challenged in courts. Additionally, Trump previously declared a national emergency to divert military funds to build the border wall. A similar strategy could be used for cutting programs he deems wasteful. While such moves would face lawsuits and opposition from Congress, Trump has shown he's willing to fight these battles in the courts. The role of the Supreme Court and conservative judges, the judiciary could play a crucial role in Trump's plan. Trump's influence on the courts is significant. With 3 Supreme Court justices appointed during his presidency, Trump has already reshaped the judiciary to be more favorable to executive power. If legal battles over spending control reach the Supreme Court, a conservative-leaning bench might be more sympathetic to Trump's argument for executive spending authority. Past rulings have upheld some executive discretion in spending, and Trump could attempt to expand these precedents to gain greater financial control, cutting funding to programs he opposes. If Trump regains control, he's likely to target specific areas of government spending that he views as inefficient or unnecessary. Climate and green energy initiatives are a key area that could see major cuts, as Trump has long criticized government spending on renewable energy and environmental programs, favoring fossil fuel industries instead. Foreign aid is another target, as he has repeatedly questioned why the U.S. sends billions overseas while domestic problems persist. Social programs, particularly those expanded under Democratic administrations, could also face major reductions. Additionally, Trump is likely to push for a downsizing of government agencies he views as obstacles to his agenda, such as the Department of Education or regulatory agencies. Resistance from Congress and possible government shutdowns. Trump's plan would face fierce opposition from Congress, including members of his own party. Democrats will fight aggressively to protect social programs, environmental policies, and other priorities. Even within the Republican Party, divisions could emerge, as some members may resist Trump's cuts if they affect their home states or key industries. If Trump refuses to sign spending bills that don't meet his criteria, the U.S. could face repeated government shutdowns, something that happened multiple times during his first term. The economic impact of Trump's plan.
Big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board.
Altering government spending at this scale could have massive economic consequences. Market reactions to these changes could create instability in financial markets, as uncertainty over federal funding impacts investor confidence. While cutting federal programs could lead to job losses, Trump argues that reducing government size will boost private sector growth. Trump also claims his plan would reduce wasteful spending and lower the national debt, but opponents argue that his tax cuts could offset any savings, making it a highly debated issue, strengthening presidential power over federal agencies. Another critical part of Trump's strategy is increasing presidential control over federal agencies that manage spending. Trump has often clashed with agencies such as the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, and the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, which oversee financial planning. If re-elected, he could push for reforms that give the White House more direct oversight over these agencies. This could allow him to influence budget forecasting, delay fund disbursement, and restructure financial priorities to align with his administration's goals. Such changes would reduce congressional influence and give the president more direct power over spending, expanding use of national emergency powers. Trump could also rely more heavily on national emergency declarations to justify shifting funds without congressional approval. During his first term, he declared a national emergency to secure funding for the border wall. If he returns to office, he could use similar measures for a range of issues, whether it's boosting defense spending, cutting social programs, or shifting funds towards specific infrastructure projects. By framing certain policies as national security concerns, Trump may be able to bypass congressional approval and act unilaterally. However, such moves would likely spark intense legal battles and political pushback. So, will Donald Trump succeed in shifting spending power from Congress to the presidency? His plan is bold, controversial, and legally complex. If he can pull it off, it could fundamentally reshape the way the U.S. government operates. Supporters see it as a way to curb Washington's wasteful spending, while critics warn it's a dangerous step toward unchecked executive power. One thing's for sure, if Trump returns to the White House, the battle over federal spending will be more intense than ever. What do you think? Should the president have more control over government spending, or should Congress keep that power? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth political analysis.